Villains, bad guys, antagonists, whatever you want to call them, Call of Duty is known for making really intricate bad guys. Going as far back as Call of Duty 4, we have a character like Imran Zakhaev. This was then pushed further forward with a game like Black Ops 2 and Raul Menendez, but recently Call of Duty has done some different things with their antagonists. If we look at Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War, instead of just having one main antagonist, they created a group known as Perseus, with yes, a leader, but it was a group nonetheless. They considered it an ideal. And in Black Ops 6, we see that once again, with a group known as Pantheon, but we also have a similar leader like we saw with Perseus. And in Black Ops 6, it is revealed that that leader is indeed Jane Harrow.
Requested. Wonderful.
Isn't that your friend, Harrow?
Now, Jane has her own reasons for being evil, if you will. At a young age, her parents were murdered by someone within the CIA, which she ends up finding out because of a floppy disk given to her by a member of Pantheon. And throughout the campaign of Black Ops 6, she enacts a plan to launch a gas known as Cradle within Washington, D.C. Why does she do this? Well, because she, as a head member of Pantheon, wants to take over the CIA. But by the end of the Black Ops 6 campaign, Case, alongside the other members of the rogue Black Ops crew, end up managing to take out Jane Harrow. And in doing so, they stop the gas attack within Washington, D.C. But as we find out by the very end of the game, Pantheon isn't going anywhere.
Whatever cabal brought Harrow into the Pantheon still lives inside our house. We thought they were long gone. But it turns out they never left.
And in fact, the entire post-seasonal story of Call of Duty Black Ops 6, right now our characters are going in and getting the assistance of the French Syndicate in order to get at Pantheon. So moving forward, we are going to see more and more of Pantheon. Which leads to the question, if Jane Harrow wasn't the leader of Pantheon and there are more members hidden inside the CIA, who exactly is Pantheon? Or maybe a better question, what is Pantheon? The year is 1962, and at this time, the CIA established a division called the Advanced Technology and Applications Division. This is a specific division to push the technology used within the CIA forward, and we actually know the exact reason why this was founded. In fact, it was all because of Alex Mason. After being brainwashed by the Russians, the Americans needed to figure out a way to decode the brainwashing and figure out what the numbers actually meant. So while Jason Hudson and Weaver were trying to interrogate Alex Mason, the Advanced Technologies and Application Division was using their brain power to try to figure out what all of the codes, what all of the numbers really actually meant. But it was after this time where the Advanced Technology and Applications Division started to move forward. During this, they established a facility in Kentucky where they would build an underground facility so remote that people would have to train in to actually work with inside this division. Now, from March of 1976 to January of 1981 is when the Advanced Technologies and Applications Division started working on a project by the name of Cradle. It was essentially a biological agent used and injected and breathed in by people to create super soldiers. This is what we see within the Emergence mission within Black Ops 6. However, it was said that this was the preliminary testing for Cradle. There wasn't any sort of volunteers or people that this was tested on at the time. It was tested on animals and it was tested in a lab, but never tested on people. right? Well, it turns out that they were actually lying to us, because throughout this mission, there are several different pieces of paper that tell us about a bunch of people that it was tested on. By the way, these were all found by a person by the name of Iceburgz. His channel is linked down in the description. Now, the first person that we have is someone by the name of Tyler Thule. Now, this person, they ended up using the bathysphere, that same sort of thing that we end up going in and fighting the Mangler within the mission. Now, there's no more details about this. We just know that it was before they actually admitted to any human testing. Another example that we can see of this is from the map called Hunting Season. In this, we end up going around the map, which is kind of like this open world mission, and end up finding audio logs. And these audio logs are specifically about two brothers who have had Cradle tested on them. This is what we are told about it.
Day 1 of the October trials. Our two subjects, brothers, began exposure. Patient A through injection and patient B through inhalation. Their pupils are dilated, but vitals are stable. Results to follow. Day 2. Patient A, injection, tried to escape. We restrained him, but he's demanding to be with his brother. The doctor thinks we can bargain with him and his brother in exchange for his cooperation. Results to follow. Day 3. We moved the brothers to the same lab. They're restrained but cooperative. The patient B, inhalation, is easier to work with. We upped his dosage and dosed the vital in it. The doctor! Get the doctor! Day 4. Patient A is deceased. Patient B broke free of his restraints, strangled his brother, and killed himself. I thought I was prepared for this after the incident 10 years ago. I don't know. Tomorrow we start over. Inhalation only. Results to follow.
Now, just to be clear, it appears as though these tests that we are talking about here actually took place 10 years later. These ones from the recordings seemingly taking place in the year that the game Black Ops 6 takes place in 1991. But we do know a little bit more about what happened 10 years earlier and what the scientist is actually talking about. And that's when the backstory of Case comes in. Now, going back to this document one more time, the first testing of Cradle went from the year 1976 to 1981, and human trials were approved by the DOJ on March 7th, 1981. Just a little tidbit of information: when Bell got shot in Black Ops Cold War, the date on that was March 14th, 1981. In other words, 7 days after the DOJ approved human trials of Cradle. At this time is when Russell Adler joined the Advanced Technology and Application Division for Cradle testing. That would be a pretty large coincidence if Bell wasn't involved at all. Now, there were other divisions within the Advanced Technologies and Applications Division, one called the Joint Projects Department, where they tested the release of biological agents in scale models of major cities like Moscow or Washington, D.C. They also had the Advanced Combat Research Department, which researched futuristic weapons, whether that be sentry guns or versions of what would eventually become the AGR. Then there was the Department of Cognitive Research. This is the one where you see the bathysphere, and the department that eventually would develop Cradle. And in the year 1981, we would get our first volunteer, Case, or Case 1.
It's for you.
It's fantastic to see you again, Case 1. How have you been feeling? A friendly reminder that most of the facility is off limits to patients. I hope you understand.
Welcome back, Case. Don't worry, the Cradle can't hurt us anymore. We're special. Special since we first experienced the Cradle. 10 years ago. We're stronger and faster than the rest, Case. That's what the Cradle was originally designed to do. Only a few know the origins of the Pantheon, Case. They were a CIA branch, unknown to even the other Black Ops divisions. They developed the cradle. A new generation of operatives would be born of it.
So a subsect of CIA agents inside the Advanced Technology and Applications Division, and I think specifically in the Cognitive Research Department, developed the cradle. These were and are who Pantheon is made up of. However, Pantheon didn't end there, because how did they go from a trusted CIA agency to what they are today? Essentially, bioterrorists.
They tried so hard to perfect the cradle case, but the side effects couldn't be stopped. As we know, we were the first and last trial volunteer. So its makers repurposed it into a biological weapon instead.
So as the human trials started to fail, there was someone by the name of Maxwell inside the Advanced Technologies and Applications Division. He did not agree with what was going on with Pantheon and what was going on with Cradle. So he stole a sample of it, hid it inside of a rubber duck, and tried to send it out of the facility to get the word out as to what was going on. However, this was thwarted by Daniel Livingstone before the sample of Cradle could actually get out there. We don't know what happened to Maxwell, but this was the beginning of the end for the Pantheon division, or technically I guess you could say the beginning of the beginning. Now, it's throughout this time where someone seemingly within Moscow was trying to break into the Advanced Technologies and Applications division. Technically, we could look at this as potentially a Perseus agent trying to do so. However, from a directive from someone by the name of Higgins, we find out that this foreign agency who was trying to break in was thwarted as they were trying to perform a cyber attack within the CIA. But as the rage issues that Case was experiencing got worse, Daniel Livingstone, one of the directors of the CIA, decided to shut down Pantheon and shut down Cradle as a whole, especially when he started to hear rumors that this was starting to be developed not to make super soldiers, but rather as a biological weapon. So in turn, they used MK Ultra to brainwash Case.
Remember your training, Case 1. You can never speak of the Cradle program or the Pantheon division. Never. Doing so could have unpredictable consequences.
For him not to speak of Pantheon and not to speak of Cradle. And in fact, it is very heavily implied that the one to do that brainwashing is none other than Russell Adler. It is very heavily implied that he will follow anything that Russell Adler does, even kill someone that is completely following their directions. So at some point in 1981, Case releases Cradle throughout the entirety of the Advanced Technology and Applications Division, causing everyone to evacuate and finally Daniel Livingstone to completely shut down the project, therefore seemingly shutting down Pantheon.
The Cradle Project failed us, Case. We were out of control, violent, maniacal. And in our rage, we sabotaged this facility, contaminated it with the same poison that runs in our veins. Remember?
But Pantheon didn't give up, and with their struggles, they had no more money to fund their biological weapons program. But luckily, there were bad guys in this planet. People like Saddam Hussein that not only wanted to fund the project, also wanting to get their hands on it. Including their deep involvement with the CIA, people like Raul Menendez could use them inside the CIA to get revenge and get what they wanted. Hence why Pantheon ended up working with Raul Menendez.
Do I think it was Harrow? Don't know. Probably. Pantheon's got a war chest. Could be she traded me, Mason, and Hudson for a mountain of cash. Raul Menendez is swimming in drug money. Wouldn't surprise me at all.
So we know where Pantheon came from, and we know that they're trying to create these biological weapons, but the mystery is we don't really know why. We know that Jane Harrow wanted to take over the CIA after what happened to her parents, but we do not know why the rest of Pantheon wants to take over the CIA, why they want to create these biological weapons. And in fact, at this point, after the death of Jane Harrow, we do not even know who the leader of Pantheon is. We just know where they came from and what their plan is moving forward.
The Cold War may be over, but the world is more dangerous than it's ever been. The nature of our enemy is unclear now.
What do you want us to do about it?
What you've always done. Protect us. Harrow may be gone, but not the Pantheon.
So we know that Pantheon is not gone, but we just have to figure out who they are, where they are, and how they need to be dealt with.
Whatever cabal brought Harrow into the Pantheon still lives inside our house. We thought they were long gone. But it turns out, they never left.
Talking back a detonator.